Hello, welcome to Hello Future Buzz. It is July 28th, 2022, and we're really excited to have LeGoodSociety on today and talk about art and NFTs. I'd just like to introduce our co-host today, Lance Lothbridge. How are you today, Lance?
Doing great, Elizabeth, and hello, community. Great to see everybody on today.
And Charles Marquette.
Hey, thanks for having me up, Elizabeth, as usual. Hope everyone's doing well.
Thank you so much. And we have a couple of artists with us today. Just to make sure your mic is on, Dave. Dave, can you hear us?
Sure can.
Great. And we have Gabrielle from Hedera Gallery. Nice to see you again, Gabrielle.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Oh, nice to see you. You're doing some great work over there. And we have Futura Dora. Hello, Futura Dora.
Hello, everyone.
Nice to hear that voice. And we have Tia, who's with LeGoodSociety. Hi, Tia.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Great. And we have Yoyana from is an artist with your gallery opening. How are you, Yoyana? Am I saying that right?
Hi, yeah, it's Joanna, like Joanna with a Y, but yeah, it's perfect. It's okay. You can call me Yo if you want.
Okay, that's great. So Max Walker is coming also. I don't know where he is at the moment, but we'll go ahead and start. So Tia, I'd like to introduce the community to LeGoodSociety, and we've been tweeting about you for the last couple of weeks, but would you like to tell us what LeGoodSociety is all about?
Hi, yeah, no, absolutely. Well, basically, I started LeGoodSociety a few years ago, and it's an eco-environmental awareness initiative, which also picks up on like social issues, and it creates awareness of environmental issues and social issues through art or technology, fashion, documentaries, film, any kind of like creative idea that can create awareness of these issues and help to kind of change people's behavior towards them.
Okay, that's so. And your initiative for the gallery is live with less plastic.
Yeah, that's correct. So basically, in 2010, prior to 2010, I worked on a project called the Plastiki, which was a boat that I built with some other people, which was made from recycled plastic, which we built in San Francisco. And it took 5 years to build this boat. And then it sailed across the Pacific from San Francisco to Sydney in 2010, creating awareness of plastic pollution in the oceans. And then in like towards like 2018, 2019, I was thinking, oh, I really want to do an exhibition. And then I kind of realized that it was 10 years since we did the Plastiki expedition in 2020. So I arranged to do an exhibition in 2020 in London. And that was going to kind of pay homage to the Plastiki expedition. And now there's something called Plastic Free July, which is creating awareness of plastic pollution during the whole month of July. So I organized to have an exhibition during July in 2020. And I did all the work for it and I got all the artists involved. And then obviously we all went into lockdown and everything was cancelled and closed off. So I couldn't have the exhibition. And then I was like, oh, you know, what am I going to do? And I just kind of left it. And then a month before, I basically spoke to a billboard company in the UK that supports anything to do with the oceans and plastic pollution. And they're called Ocean Outdoor. And I was like, oh, I've, you know, spent the last 6, 7, 8 months working on this exhibition. And now I can't do it. And all the artists have done work for it. You know, is there any way that we could put the art up on the billboards? And they were like, yes. And I was like, oh my God, what? Yes? That's incredible. So they put all the art up on the billboards, like all across the UK, from like London to Scotland. So in all the major cities like Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, Edinburgh. And yeah, and it was just unbelievable. So all the art was up on the billboards and it just looked super epic. They were like ginormous, huge, and like everyone all over the UK could see them. And you know, the exciting thing about that was that, you know, we'd just been in lockdown for like 3 months and everyone was like limited with their kind of culture and the arts. And it was also, you know, art can be quite elitist as well. So it's taken all this art out to like, you know, places in the UK that might have not been exposed to art like this before, talking about a really important subject matter, which is plastic pollution in the oceans. And of course, like we were all in the pandemic and our plastic usage had increased like exponentially. So it was a really important subject matter to get everybody on board with. And, you know, just utilizing the art as well is just really powerful because it's just a different way to get people engaged in this issue. So I love kind of using art to engage people in issues. So yeah, we did that in 2020 and that was amazing. And then we did it in 2021 again over the UK. And then this year I partnered with Hedera and they supported it. And we basically took it across like 4 different countries, as you know. So we had the art across the UK on billboards, Denmark, the Netherlands, and then in New York in Times Square. And so that was like super crazy exciting. And it's still up like in Times Square, in the Netherlands, and across Denmark till the end of the month. And on top of that, we created the 3D virtual gallery with the Hedera Gallery, which looks absolutely incredible. And so you can view all the art in one place now, which is amazing. And then you can click on the art and read about it and read about the artists. And then you can also bid on the art as well to raise money for Oceanic Global, which is like a plastic pollution and ocean conservation charity, which helps to prevent plastic from entering the ocean. So yeah, I mean, it's super exciting. I'm so glad that, you know, it's a mixture of art and like digital art, NFTs. And this is the first time that a lot of the artists have made like digital art and NFTs, aside from a few like Dave and Dennis. So yeah, it's super exciting. Yeah.
And Gabrielle, you helped them with the gallery for their exhibit. You've been doing a lot of work with the Hedera Gallery. Would you like to tell us about the experience you had working with LeGoodSociety?
Yes, definitely. So we loved the purpose of the project from the beginning, and it was and it is a very interesting exhibition for us. And we saw this as an opportunity for us as well to showcase how we can customize rooms for our clients. So we went ahead, had some discussions with Tia to understand exactly what is her vision about this room, and we started working on it. We designed some elements. We made that column, maybe you remember, with the floating plastics inside of it, to resemble the plastics inside the oceans. And then we received the artwork from Tia and we put it on display. It is easy accessible from any device. It is even more interesting if you have VR glasses, because you can go into the room and feel like you are in an actual gallery. And we were impressed of the quality of artwork and artists that were involved in Tia's project.
Yes, the artwork is amazing. I've been in the gallery and I was looking at the auction today also. So you did a really great job. You've done an amazing job building out your gallery and innovating on Hedera. And we're really excited about seeing all of your progress, Gabrielle.
Yeah, so the project will develop in the following months. We've been working very hard behind the scenes. We made huge improvements to the back end. We managed to automate a lot of processes. We do have a working ERP. We migrated our website. We did a lot of development behind the scenes, and for the future, we are currently working on having an audio video conferencing app to be implemented inside the gallery, so that when you go in the gallery, you don't feel alone. You actually see all other participants. You will be able to interact with them, and our plan for the future is to have the capacity to hold events inside the gallery, so that maybe these Twitter spaces will be migrated into the Hedera Gallery, so that, and moreover, the organizers would be able to ask for payment for tickets in order to for the attendees to participate at the event. So in order for them to monetize their activity.
Well, just keep up the work. I know it's not easy, and we really appreciate all you're doing for us. I wanted to just say hello to Max. And I know that, Max, you're friends with Tia. You must be excited to see this happening over there in the UK.
Yeah, I think it's hi everybody. I think it's fantastic because what it gives, it's just another aspect to NFTs that demonstrates that they're not just JPEG pictures, but actually, through the auction and through the money raised in the acquisition of the NFTs, a real difference is made in such an important topic, which is obviously polluting our oceans, the damage of which, the plastics and stuff is untold. And it's great that we're all becoming more and more aware of that as a society and the damage that's already been done. And I just hope it's not too late in terms of the oceans and the plastics. I was reading something the other day that said that every one of us has got sort of these microplastics in our bodies, and actually it starts to affect your DNA, and the plastics are in your DNA, believe it or not. So as scary as that is, so it couldn't be any more important, this topic. So I think that the fact that Tia has been able to bring not only herself but other fantastic artists into the space, and on Hedera no less, I just think it's great all round. And I've also been in the gallery, and I think the space is absolutely fantastic. And that tube, that looks like it's going to be a beautiful sort of fish tank or something, and it's just full of horrible plastic, is just so fantastic. It really makes you double take. So yeah, it's really, really positive all round, I think.
Yeah, no, it just is amazing, the innovation that's come in the last year with the Spatial Gallery and Hedera Gallery, and the metaverse is going to be a great place. And it's really scary what you said, Max, about the plastic being in our DNA. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true. Look it up. It's really scary.
Is that like documented?
Yeah. Google it. It's starting to change people's DNA in certain ways. The plastic that's these microplastics that sit in your body, sit in your bloodstream, and you can actually pass them on. Yeah, it's well documented. Google it.
Jeez, that's just horrible. That's even makes it more important to help organizations that are getting us. I know, Tia, I read something the other day that there are alternatives to plastic. We don't really need to use plastic. There's packaging that's done in an environmentally friendly way with vegetables, and I think we should really look into that more fully and try as much to wean ourselves off this plastic mess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's lots of different materials out there, like bioplastics and seaweed. So yeah, we're just kind of like, waiting for the government to kind of action these materials to be used, and to kind of help all the corporations to start to use them. I think, yeah. So, and there's a lot, there's been a lot of bans on single-use plastic in lots of different countries. Obviously, California is really good for that. And there's been a lot of momentum that's built up over the last 10 years with the issues around plastic pollution. And I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. But yeah, as Max was saying, there's been a lot of research that's been done this year just on the effects that it's having on us, that it's in our blood, it's in our lungs. And Paul Davis, one of the artists, his piece particularly looks at that, with the microplastics kind of entering the body, and what effect that's going to have on us as a human race is quite interesting as well.
Yeah, I'm in California, and we have very big bans on plastic already, but I think we should really look into getting some more, just ban it altogether. I mean, this is not good at all. So, yeah, so I wanted to also speak to the artists and get your perspective as to why you created the art that you did, and how you're excited about the gallery. So, Dave, do you want to be next up?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so my wife and I, this has kind of always been something that's been, my wife got me into it more. I shouldn't say that I have always been as acutely aware of this kind of stuff, but my wife has always been very, very good about minimizing plastic use and recycling and all of that kind of stuff. And by virtue of what I do with my artwork, this kind of just seemed to fit very well. And what I do is find these sort of old, unwanted pieces of artwork and then sort of recycle them by using oil paints and painting into them and sort of bringing them back into the sort of contemporary world, I guess. And so the pieces that I've created along this vein have kind of taken these sort of old paintings with kind of an old aesthetic, and kind of peppered the plastic waste throughout the landscape. And I even have it so that the paint is actually kind of onto the frame and things like that, kind of just trying to make it appear as though the plastic is not only started to invade that landscape, but also has been breaking the fourth wall, I guess, so to speak, and invading the space around it. So yeah, I mean, this is just obviously it's important to discuss, and it's important for all of us to do whatever we can to help solve the problem. And one of the things that I think is kind of important is to not sort of take this like fatalist view that these are problems that are just too big for any one person to tackle. I think and anything helps, and whether it's just not using the plastic silverware that a restaurant gives you and giving it back to them and saying hold on to this for the next person or whatever, or just trying not to use it at all, or not using straws or whatever. Just those little things are simple things that everybody can do, and it's just obviously these are going to make changes, and you don't have to tackle the world. I suppose you can start small at the micro level.
Oh, absolutely. Because I know in California, when they banned plastic bags, people were saying, we can't live without plastic bags. And now you'd be hard pressed to find somebody walking into a grocery store without their shopping bag. And you look at people oddly if they have a plastic bag. And I think that society has a role to play in just kind of weaning people off of plastic and letting them know that, shopping bags made of cloth are much better. And we can go that route. It will take time, but one person can make a difference in a community. And I think what you're doing at LeGoodSociety, Tia, is making the NFT space in Hedera. We are all very charitable people, and we welcome your efforts on behalf of getting rid of plastic in the Hedera community. So we really appreciate you doing that a lot. So let's go to Shingai, if I'm saying that correctly, and tell us how you got involved in the project with LeGoodSociety.
Hi, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
Amazing, you're welcome. Yeah, so in terms of how I got involved with LeGoodSociety and Let's Use Less Plastic was a really dear friend of mine, actually, called Faye Milton, from an organization called Music Declares Emergency. So they've just done like really amazing things to also raise awareness about the multiple negative impacts of climate change, and obviously that includes the damage that plastic is doing to the ocean. So Faye and I, both grew up together, playing in bands. She's also a musician, and we've always been like, quite sort of down to earth, but kind of like well traveled, and so I was doing some stuff with Music Declares Emergency, and we did this really cool shot with Rankin and some other influential, amazing artists to also highlight a similar campaign last year. And then she introduced me to Tia, who's absolutely amazing. From what we can hear, she's like a force of nature, literally. And I just felt there was definitely an alignment and a synergy there. I'm born and raised in South London, and I'm out of Southern African Bantu heritage. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in Zimbabwe and Malawi when I was a kid, and you know, just our sort of approach to recycling there is quite natural. Like even a lot of the instruments that I use on stage and in my music and in the studio are from like recycled beautiful instruments. Like for example, there's this beautiful pair of shakers that we use called the hosho, and they're made from like recycled pumpkins, and we dry them in the sun, and then we dry the seeds and we put them in the seeds. So I kind of grew up with a lot of amazing like revolutionaries and artists and people that really, you know, care about the environment and humanity, and kind of had to fight for their own freedom. So that's kind of that's definitely a foundational part of my personality. So when I got amazing success with my band, the Noisettes, I wanted to make sure that, like, you know, the essence of who I am as a person, sort of carries through my work, and that, like, you know, there's no point having sort of any success in my view if you can't use it to make a positive impact, you know, and drive kind of prosperity to important causes. So yeah, I'm now independent, and I have a record called Ancient Futures, and from that record, which was my debut kind of record on my own label, there was a song called Revolutions, and I've been looking into like NFT and like the kind of digital art space, and just seeing that there's, you know, so much scope for innovation there. But what I felt was kind of missing was a lot of kind of references to like the natural world that kind of spoke to, you know, that African Bantu child in me that grew up in South London that played in punk bands and stuff. So there was an amazing, well, there is, actually she's with us today. There's an amazing multifaceted digital artist that I met, actually I think it was through Insta, called Damara. And when Tia approached me and said, oh, would I like to be part of this campaign, but it involves potentially making my first NFT, or being part of an NFT, the only person that I felt could help bring that to life and would be Damara, because we had quite a few conversations in the DMs, and, you know, we had this similar kind of Bantu background where we were raised in the West, but we still carried our cultural kind of respect for nature, respect for heritage, Mama Earth, and all that kind of stuff that we got from the motherland. So yeah, Damara's from Angola. She's also amazing into music, into fashion. She just carries herself in such an innovative way, but at the heart of what she does is her love of where this art can take us and what an impact it has. So yeah, so I asked her, it was a little bit kind of like, you know, she didn't have much time to actually complete what she completed, which we absolutely love. But yeah, she was just like really, really up for it. So we ended up collaborating for the first time because of this amazing, powerful project that Tia and all of you guys have put together. I really like the fact that Revolutions, from my debut independent record, is the music behind it, because I do believe that revolutions don't have to be this kind of, this kind of a classic kind of idea of like millions of people marching for something to happen. I feel like revolutions can be a bit like one of the other artists said earlier on, it can be us making changes in our everyday life. And I think revolution, sometimes it just starts at home. It starts with you. It starts with your community. And hopefully that will filter over into the digital space and the metaverse, so that we still have art and, you know, inspirational, innovative people and characters that are still, I don't know, want to kind of like have that art make an impact for the greater good, because that's kind of how I feel in terms of my responsibility as, you know, as a Black female artist. I always have this thing at the back of my mind that, like, I'm aware of how, you know, how creative work impacts and how it can lift other issues and lift and give voices to other projects. So it's been amazing to work with Damara. It's been amazing to work with Tia. The launch was absolutely like incendiary. It was fire. It was in London like a week or two ago, and I'm still buzzing from it. My name in the Shona Zimbabwean language Shingi means to be bold, to be courageous and to have courage. So I hope that that is what my work musically, and now venturing into this space, I hope that that's the legacy that my work can make, even in the digital space and in the activism space. And lastly, I agree with what you said in terms of we have to empower people to take things into their hands a lot more and wait less for governments who really seem to have so much stuff anyway on their plates right now. It definitely is a lot of our positive progress as humanity definitely is in our hands, because then but by not polluting the West, we also create less pollution for other places in the developing world, like where Damara and I are from also getting the brunt of that pollution. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be on this journey, to learn, and I would love to. I can't wait to hear from hearing from Damara in terms of what the experience has been like for her. I'm sorry, that's the best nutshell I could kind of do.
Thank you so much. Well,
You're
the
welcome.
our community is all about collaboration. So you're in the right space with Damara. Damara, would you like to contribute to the conversation that was started?
Yes, of course. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much for having me. And above it all, thank you so much, Shingai, for this amazing opportunity and for this crazy introduction. I was even thinking, like, who is that Damara? I also want to meet her. From my perspective, my point of view, when Shingai invited me to be part of this project and got me in touch with Tia from the Good Society, I was given a brief, some inspirations like butterflies were one of the elements, a specific image, some of the elements that Shingai would like to see in the NFT, specifically the soundtrack that was a little snippet of the Revolution's song. And when I heard that part, time for a revolution and connecting it with sustainability really made me think that, now is really the time to impose our will to even survive in this planet, right? Now it's our time to impose our presence, not as humans, but as fellow people, as fellow animals that share the ecosystem with other animals and with other elements as well. So this idea of revolution and this idea of urgency in removing the plastic from the oceans made me think of an Angolan term that we use. Excuse me. A term from Kimbundu, that is a dialect of Angola, that is Kalunga. And Kalunga basically means ocean and death at the same time. And it really made me think how ocean really is the livelihood of the earth. It really is the livelihood of our environment, is a crucial part of our ecosystem. But nevertheless, the more alive we are, it seems like we are trying to kill the oceans as well. It's so contradictory that as a species, we sort of sabotage our own well-being in a way. So dualism between death and ocean is what really made me think about this piece. So, Time for a Revolution takes the inspiration on the metamorphosis process of a piece of plastic from the bottom of the ocean to the bay, to then eventually being recycled into another powerful object or another powerful vessel or container. This also makes me think about the idea that it really is time for a revolution, right? It really is time for us to change the notion of value that we have as humans and the notion of priority. And it made me think about plastic as sort of the new gold, right? Because, I mean, gold, you have gold mines and it's there, and there's so many, colonial, there's so much blood around gold, but nevertheless its value is continuous and it's there. But when it comes to plastic, we sort of buy plastic bags in a very cheap price. We use plastic like it's something that will not last forever, and it actually outlives us. So it's about time that we start looking at plastic as a very meaningful and a very important resource, because it's not just about creating another plastic bag, another water bottle. It's about also taking this element that does not belong to the oceans. So I think more than being in an era where we want to reduce plastic or we produce plastic, is being in an era where we rethink plastic and we rethink what are actual, meaningful resources in our ecosystem and in our environment. And rather than spending a lot of resources to get a certain minerals, maybe we should start spending resources to get the sort of fake minerals that we created as humans, and taking that responsibility. I think that plastic existed for long enough to sort of be in this cycle, but it should become a rare commodity, right? Because it has such a huge impact in our ecosystem.
That's a really interesting take, Tamara.
Love
I
it.
think that should be really expressed more. It's a very interesting take that you have of that. Shingo, would you?
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, I just, the more that we, go further in this conversation, there's such an amazing synergy, and it's really clear how the presence of plastic has had such an impact for everyone. But it's been one of these things that we've taken for granted for a long time. And yeah, I totally agree in terms of seeing the devastation that over mining has done in a place, like where Damara and I are from, which is, central southern Africa. I would really, really, really not like to see the West have to ever experience anything like that. So yes, she's absolutely right. It's all about urgency, and it's really lovely to feel that in the work. And I just feel like, yeah, it's amazing to see artists stepping up to the plate right now, because, it's definitely, there's an urgency, and art just speaks to people in a way now that, unfortunately, politicians and mainstream media don't. Art speaks to people now. Creativity speaks to people now, even if it's influencers using the creative language or creative, ways of expressing something. That's what people are responding to now, especially like what Tia said, since 2 years of uncertainty, 2 years of lockdown. There's, like, even for example, when we put out Too Bold, everyone was like, oh, you can't put out an album, there's lockdown, everybody's really, but I was like, well, what if that music actually has, lyrics or content in it that speaks to how people feel? And then, as it turns out, it did really well, because statistically people are now listening to more albums than in the last decade, apparently. So maybe it's us the last couple of years having this time collectively, in terms of, what happened with kind of COVID and all the ramifications of that. I think it's given artists and the creative community a really amazing shot at, messaging the world with the content that they really feel can make a difference, because people are really responding to art now. So yeah, I loved working with Damara. I love this project, and I would love to hopefully meet all of the other artists as well, because I've seen the other videos, and so far, like, the discourse is like really, really inspiring me. So I feel like this is the beginning of the revolution in some way, even though, like I said, it's not that kind of big. It's happening.
Well, I think that from bad there's good always, and there's the pause that we had to take because of the pandemic really did give a lot of people some space to start creating. And I know in the Hedera community, and maybe Lance or Max, you can speak to this, that NFTs started less than a year ago, and we've come so far in that.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say true. Yeah, exponential growth, and as we get more Ethereum users realizing they don't have to pay $100 to send an NFT, it'll really explode like wildfire, I think.
Yeah, and Max, I mean, NFTs, your whole lab is doing that now.
Yeah, so I think, as I've said in a lot of my videos, that I'm eventually 9 times out of 10 utility wins through, and Ethereum is popular because it was first. It was the first. Bitcoin's popular because it was first in terms of a holder value, if you like, and then Ethereum is popular in the NFT community simply because it was first. But obviously, as time goes on, people get fed up of paying crazy fees. They become more aware of alternatives, and that's happening more and more. So, people are leaving the Ethereum platform that I know personally in their droves. They're not all coming to Hedera, unfortunately, but that will change too. But they're going to the likes of Solana. People I know on a first name basis, and as you say, we're only 1 year. When I say we, I mean the Hedera platform is only 1 year old, effectively, in any serious way. And in that time, look at the growth, which just demonstrates the point. People are looking to. This isn't going to go away. It's not a fad. This is the future, as I said, with regards to the utility, with the real world impact of the plastics in the ocean, with the money that's raised. And that's only going to continue. And actually, it'll compound faster. So it's less like a gentle slope of onboarding, but it's actually more like a hockey stick, because it compounds, because the more people that join, and the quicker it happens. And also, the more popular it gets, the more sales there are, the costs go up on Ethereum, the delays go up on Ethereum, the time taken goes up on Ethereum. So everything gets worse and gets harder as the load gets bigger. So it'll happen quicker on Hedera than it did for Ethereum, for example. So I think it's a very, very exciting time. And I don't know if you saw just today, Utopian Lab, my company that mints NFTs for some of the largest brands in the world and talent in the world. One of our exclusive clients, the Halcyon Group, own Castle Fine Art, and Castle Fine Art have just announced today that they're exclusively working with Johnny Depp. So ipso facto, he's with them and they're with us. So that's just one example of a really big name. It's about as big as you get in terms of celebrity. Tyson Fury's already on the platform, and I'm constantly in talks in the background with other platforms, other companies like Utopian Lab that are looking to migrate from wherever they may be to Hedera. And I'm actually in conversation with the HBAR Foundation and two really big projects, both of which are on Solana, and they're looking to move across. So it's just how we facilitate that in a way that makes sense for everybody. Because clearly they're not looking to alienate their existing community, because unfortunately crypto is still very tribal, and that will change in time. But at the moment, it's almost like football or basketball in America or whatever it may, football in the UK or basketball or whatever. It's very tribal, and you support your team, and that's it. Through good, bad, and ugly. So that will change. It'll have to change. It'll be forced to change, and there'll be a lot of more sort of collaboration and cross-network collaboration. But yeah, it's happening already. I haven't had anyone ring me up and say, have you considered coming over to Solana? I've had a lot of people ring me saying, tell us more about this Hedera. Is there a place for us there? And what's the community like? So I think that the only thing that's sort of hindered the growth of the Hedera NFT platform space has been Hedera itself. But they are very much a platform that like to build things and make them work and make it safe and make it secure before ramping up on sort of the selling of it, if you like, the promotion of it. Whereas a lot of other platforms sort of build it on the way down, as it were. So the advertising hasn't been fantastic, and hasn't really touched the sort of what I would call the hardcore users of NFT spaces, which are very much you sort of Bored Apes and that sort of thing. It's still very anti-establishment kind of feeling, far less institutional than Hedera perhaps is. And again, that will change as the market matures, because at the moment, obviously, it's just grassroots, early adopters, and then I'm pretty sure everyone will be familiar with the use curve. It's early adopters first, and then it's the newcomers, and then so on and so forth. And so as that journey progresses, as more and more mature people, both in terms of age and status and social status, as they start to the Daily Mail, which is a newspaper in the UK, sort of Daily Mail readers, as the sort of middle class start to creep into the NFT space, they'll be looking for the stuff that's got the right credentials, the right security, and that'll inevitably be Hedera. So all roads, I think, point to Hedera having a very bright future in the NFT space, and rightly so, because of the environmental impact, which is the whole point. Halcyon Art Gallery, who are the second largest art gallery group in the world, our client, turned over £190 million last year. They wouldn't be doing NFTs if it weren't for Hedera. They just wouldn't do it. They're obviously well aware of it. They're in art. They know NFTs very well. They've been thinking about it and checking on it for years, and they've just simply not entered the space because they just simply can't do it with a clear conscience. That's no longer the case with Hedera. So there'll be a lot more of that as well with brands, particularly who feel answerable to the public and to to society and the economy and the environment. They will only be looking. A good example of this, actually, by the way, just very quickly, is there's the Institute of History in London, and they were the protesters outside, and they were giving the curators a really hard time because they planned to start minting some of their pieces on Ethereum, and obviously the damage that does to the planet is unacceptable to a lot of people, and rightly so. So they've actually cancelled that, and we're in talks with them now and bringing them onto Hedera. So I think it's a very exciting time, and a very positive one too.
Yes, Tia, I wanted to ask you, were you aware when you were looking for a platform to do your project that Hedera was like ecologically the best network and carbon negative? Or was that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I had to do a lot of research into like cryptocurrency and blockchain and NFTs prior to doing the project. So I was like super excited about NFTs, but obviously the environmental damage is just like, you just can't go there, especially when you've got like an environmental initiative. So yeah, I did a lot of research into it. And from my research, I stumbled across Hedera, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Not only is there are they going to be the successor to Bitcoin, blockchain and everything, but they're carbon negative, they're super into environmental issues, they want to use the technology for good and to make the world a better place. So and that's the only reason that we were able to create these NFTs, because there was a technology company that we could work with that was supporting the environment in a way. And I think from my research, from UCL research, they basically say that one of your Visa transaction is equivalent to 75 transactions energy wise on the Hedera network. So that's just mind blowing. They just it literally uses next to no energy. So yeah, I think it's really exciting time, creating NFTs on the Hedera network, and just the whole Hedera network in itself, what it's gonna bring to society, and just their awareness from an environmental perspective is brilliant.
Now you really did do your research.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's not just that either. It's not only that it uses a lot less electric than a Visa terminal. You're absolutely right. A PDQ machine uses 7 times more. It consumes more electric per transaction than a Hedera transaction. That's absolutely right. But more than that, it's carbon negative, as you said, Tia. So the environment's actually better off every time you mint an NFT, regardless of what you do that NFT, whether you're raising money to get plastic out of the ocean, which is fantastic. If you just mint an NFT on Hedera and do nothing else, the planet is better off than when you didn't, but then before you minted it. So it's a tiny use of energy, and it's has a net positive effect on the planet. So it's great. It really is.
It does have a negative plus on the planet. Let's get Futura in here, Futuradora, and welcome, and let us know what your experience was like in the project as an artist.
Absolutely. I know there's a few artists still on here that haven't spoken, but I'm actually part of the project as the community sort of manager as well. And just wanted to give my 2 cents before I pass the mic on to the other creators here before the time is up. But for me as a creator and also working in the Web3 space, I just wanted to highlight the community of Hedera and how amazing the community has been, and coming together and really amplifying our project. So to learn more about Hedera from our creative perspective and working on Solana and also Ethereum, it's just been really amazing learning and experiencing the community. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we try to be a welcoming community, and we're very knowledgeable about what's going on. So we're very excited to have all these new artists with us. So let's get Joanna. Would you like to tell us about your experience with creating the art?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. It was a new word for me, like the NFT. I'm like a visual artist, but I'm usually more into craftsmanship. And yeah, basically, I started to do free photographies for the NFT project, but I wanted to push it further. So I work in a collaboration with Matt B, that is listening now. That is a 3D designer, and we created an NFT together based on my costume design, because I'm working on a contemporary opera right now with Lucy Cure, that is a composer and singer. And yeah, we created this all neo mythology characters. So, for example, the NFT that we show on Hedera was a plastic mermaid. That is as if like the mermaid like was like the ancient figure of the mermaid in the contemporary world with the plastic and the ocean. So we're like trying to imagine how she would have behave around the plastic around. And we want to create few other figures from the opera that will all be related to like ancient mythology and things like that. And so yeah, that was super exciting because I never worked with NFT, and that's everything is new to me. I'm just new on Twitter. I just added Twitter 2 days ago. So yeah, it was a very very fun experience. And I really want to go further that now, and to create like a collection of NFT with maybe with Mathieu still, and with still collaborating with Lucy on the contemporary opera that will be like on a movie and on stage, and maybe as well creating a 3D version of it that will be online. So yeah, I would love to go further that, and to continue collaborate with LeGoodSociety. Obviously, I've been collaborating with Tia and LeGoodSociety since few years now. We're good friends, and we did some exhibition in the past as well, related always with environmental issue. One in France last year with La Caserne. That was wonderful. And yeah, we try to help art, like to push the like to help the environment crisis with art, and to make an impact with that. So yeah.
Well, we have a very vibrant NFT community, and once you're here now, so I encourage you to uh, reach out to all the NFT creators in our community, which is vast. And
Yeah.
we do a lot of things like Koala Club, the koalas in Australia with habitats, and we have all kinds of charity events, that we have planned for the future that we've had great success with in the past. So we're really excited to have all these new artists and building on Hedera. I find it very interesting that a lot of you had never created an NFT before, and now you have that experience on Hedera. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
For this wonderful experience. Yeah, it was crazy, and yeah, I think it's really nice to help, like to give the opportunity to artists like me that are not connected to this world at all, to do like something that can have an impact for like the environment and as well for art in general. And I think it's a very nice opportunity, and thank you again to having us.
Oh, thank you so much. Lance, would you like to comment on the discussion to date?
Yeah, sure. And I apologize. I tried to come off mute earlier and Twitter wasn't allowing it. So they must not have thought I had something to add. Did want to just encourage the entire community to really go and check this out. Go see the gallery, walk the gallery. I had a chance to do that ahead of this call, and it's just beautifully done. Credit to Tia, credit to Gabrielle, for building the gallery, but it's just great experience walking it and seeing all the artwork come together. Obviously you have the opportunity, in addition to walking it, to click on a piece that you really like and bid on it or try to purchase it. So encourage everybody to at least take a look, but also consider supporting the project. Did want to also just add, obviously it was great to hear, this being a conservation and environmental cause, that you really found a carbon negative DLT that enables, basically it enables only good. So you're not raising money, but at the same time, creating different ecological problems by minting on a different network. Was kind of wondering from the artists or even from Tia, did you have pushback or did you see surprise from maybe the activist community or from the art community doing this NFT project and kind of entering into this space?
No, we didn't actually. There was just a lot of love and positive vibes towards the whole project. As you can kind of tell, a lot of the artists, this is the first time that they've created like a digital art and NFT. So there is still a massive barrier to entry in this space, and still a lot of people don't understand it, and they especially don't understand Hedera. As Max was saying, there's not that much publicity on Hedera as there is on all the other kind of blockchains and cryptocurrencies. So I think this is really educational tool for a lot of people as well. Especially in the UK, who we're really far behind in terms of like blockchain and cryptocurrency knowledge. And it's bringing a lot of new kind of people on board into this area because of the environmental factor as well. So yeah, I think it was all good. It was all good.
That's great.
Yeah, well, our space is a little bit different than other spaces, which is what Max was saying. And I do think Max, I don't know if you were here last week when Christian Hasker from the marketing department of Hedera was on, saying that they're looking into having a similar display of NFTs in October in London and Piccadilly Circus. So marketing is coming to London this year.
Yeah, I did, and I think it's fantastic. And as I said, it'll happen organically anyway, but it could certainly be it could certainly happen quicker, and I think it will. And as I say, I'm not judging too harshly on what's currently being done, because it wasn't much, and it were only as I said before, the NFT market on Hedera has only existed for a year, so you've got to give them a chance, an opportunity. But yeah, we definitely need to see more. And I'm looking forward to that happening. And I do believe in Christian and his team. I think they're very capable. So I'm looking forward to what's next.
Yes, and like this weekend, I live in Los Angeles, and I'm going to an NFT expo downtown, and Hedera speakers are all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see that, as opposed to earlier this year when I went to NFT LA. The people didn't know anything about Hedera. So let's see what the change is in 6 months. That's how I gauge things. But if there's anyone in the community that wanted to ask a quick question, we have a few minutes left in our spaces. But
I've got a quick question, actually.
Sure, go ahead.
It's for I really loved, I'm just responding to what Tia said about the barrier of entry being quite challenging for, I guess, just the wide spectrum of people that are, quite recently getting into NFTs. So it's a question more for Max, but obviously, Tia, please feel free to jump in. Max, how do you see things like future-wise over the next year in terms of Hedera kind of engaging artists, or because beyond this, it would really, really be nice to see some sort of echoes of this project in the future, even if it isn't with Hedera. Do you have plans to kind of, further engage artists that, or especially artists like myself who would never have been able to create and collaborate on a project like this scale if it hadn't been for Tia and Damara? What's your views on that?
I think that there's going to be, yes is the short answer. There's going to be a lot more onboarding of both artists and companies. And there's two facets. There's two ways that it's going to happen. The first is that more and more companies like mine, Utopian Lab, are going to be joining Hedera because of the cost of minting and all the stuff that I don't need to go over it, but for all the good reasons that I've already explained. Companies like mine will join Hedera, and then companies like mine will reach out to artists like yourself, other individual artists, and say, you would effectively be our customer. So you might not necessarily be approached by Hedera. In fact, you won't. I'd be very surprised if you are in the future. But you will be approached by companies like Utopian Lab, like whoever it may be on Hedera, and they'll be approaching artists all over, and this is going to heat up and get more and more the case, and say, look, for 20% we can mint your NFTs, we can offer you a turnkey service, and etc. So that's the first way it'll happen, is that more and more artists will be approached by sort of companies that sit on the Hedera platform, and you won't ever necessarily deal directly with Hedera, but you'll deal with companies that are building on Hedera. That's the first thing, more like agencies, if you like. And then the second thing that will happen is that the brands. So my company specifically deals less with individual artists, although we do deal with some, friends and things like here, and particularly for great projects like this one. But also brands. So large brands are looking for a solution. They're looking for a way of entering the space. And they're understandably very nervous because of the cancel culture with the wrong platforms, because they want to be on brands. They don't want to alienate their existing customers, but they're looking to get new customers. And when I'm in meetings with these people, these sort of chief execs and stuff and CEOs, they know they've got to be in the space. They know it's not going away. They know there's a lot of money potentially to be made, and a lot of new customers to potentially to sort of gain from it, but they don't know how to do it, even down to understanding the technology. So the two facets will be large brands bringing their clients on. So, for example, Nike joining Hedera through Utopian Lab, and then bringing their sports people with them. And then the other way will be direct to consumers. So artists like yourselves, creators, will be onboarded by companies like mine, that are building a business by doing exactly that, by earning a percentage of your sales. So that's kind of how I envisage it happening.
That's really promising. Thank you. That's a great answer. Sorry to take up time.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Hedera also has a lot of tools that individual artists can use, and we have Hashgraph Punks, Turtle Moon tools. Well, there's a lot of tools, and I can put those in a thread. But I wanted to give you, Tia, a chance to have some parting words as we're at the top of the hour. So would you like to leave the community with some thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to thank the community for supporting us, and also to thank Hedera for giving us the opportunity to do this, enabling us to create digital art, which we wouldn't have been able to do. And to just encourage people to kind of use the technology for good, to create a better world with it, to to use art to as a means to talk about issues, and for just utilize everything for a social impact, really, and to just think about that in the future for cryptocurrency, blockchains, all of this new technology. How can we utilize it for good and to create a better world from it?
Well said. Well said. Well, that's one of our goals here in Hedera for sure. And it comes from Lehman Baird and Mance, the creators of Hedera. And their mission is actually to help the world become a better place. So that's really the mission of Hedera, as well as commerce and everything else. We need to have tools in order to make an ecological impact. Because computers and things are not going away, and we need an efficient network. And Lehman and Mance have built one for us and have given us the tools we need to use. So I want to thank you all for coming to our spaces today. It was really enlightening. And thank you, Max, for coming, and Dave and Shinga and Hedera Galleries. Kudos for the gallery. It was awesome. And Futura Durma and Dharma and Yolana, thank you so much for coming. And Tia, please keep us in your thoughts, and come back and visit us sometimes and tell us how the auction went. Let's live with less plastic. So I'm going to end this space now. I really appreciate everybody coming, and thank you all. Hello, future. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ending this space.